center wing and the fullback cash cows. This is a pretty crazy video, this one, because we're going to be using 4 to 5 of them, you'd say there. Likely, really, probably not in the fullback slot, but obviously a couple of options there across the season that will come up. And the majority of those guys will actually pop up as a center wing dual, given they can play some fullback and some center or wing, obviously. So we're going from 350 and below with Xavier Savage to kick things off. Will you guys actually have 2 of these cheapies, or 3 or 4 even in your starting side, and definitely have a couple on the bench as well? And will you go a little bit cheaper in this position, or will you look to spend up with a gun or a value midi? Potentially one of each of those, and then a few of these cheaper guys in here, which is going to be interesting as well. At this stage, we don't have the Panthers team list, so hopefully it'll come out sort of today or tomorrow. But yeah, I'm making this the day before it'll come out, so yeah, see how we go. But anyway, Xavier Savage, 350k, average of 49. Guys, the group code as well for the league for the NRL and cricket analysis community is in the description as well, so jump in and click on that. There's only a few in there of current. Anyway, so he's named on the wing for the trial. He obviously played the one the other day. Looked pretty good. Sort of unlikely he's in the fullback slot. They're playing Albert Hopewadi there now this week, so he's someone you can have a look at as well, but fairly expensive in the 4s there anyway. But I think at wing you could probably avoid him at that price, given there's a few guys that could potentially make the side that are a little bit cheaper. But it does look, from what we're hearing, that he is having a good preseason. He looked good on the weekend. Let's see how he looks again in this second trial and see if he gets a spot, because he could be one of those guys that if the Raiders play well, he could be the good scorer in that team out of the outside backs, but is more expensive than all of them, basically. So, and we'll speak about a few in this video. Bronson Xerri there at 345. So he had a really good first hit out. He admitted he was nervous. Does he make the side? Obviously, here is the big question mark. And he's made the second trial team with no Connor Tracy, no Jacob Kiraz. But I'd say with Kiraz, if he is there come round 1, it'll likely be on the wing for Blake Wilson. And Xerri could keep his spot. But if Connor Tracy is around, then that left centre role I think is perfect for Connor. It looks like Stephen Crichton likely to be on the right with Xerri there playing that first trial on the left. So yeah, interesting. And if he makes that side round 1, he'll be in our sides, I think, and you'll put him in your starting 17 fairly comfortably, I think, given he's got the high upside. He looked big, strong. 4 years out of the game, he would have had plenty of thinking to do. So and practice on defense and all the rest as well, just to make sure that he's a bigger, stronger body that can handle the defense in NRL as well. But these couple of trials are going to be massive for him to get all that back. Falongo, obviously a 339, guys. He's a gun. Wait for injuries, had the 83 in that game last year. So yeah, not much to say further on him. Jamin Salmon at 317. So here's the dual with the edge as well. I'll pop that in there. So the 2RF for that one. Still thinking fantasy. But he definitely has the 10 points of value at 317.1k, guys. Average 31 last year. If he starts, there's definitely 10 points of value. So he could be a starter in your CT dub, which could be very, very helpful there. So definitely see how he goes in his second trial. He's been named to start there over Curran. So yeah, if he was to get that spot over Josh, then I think you pick him in your side. You expect somewhere between that 40 to 50 in base, and obviously some try contributions or try assists could be great from that. But he looked really good in that first trial. Watch him again in this one. If he's named in round 1, playing well in the second trial as well, then he'll be on my side, and I'll likely be starting him, I think, just to get something pretty consistent in that spot, which will be very, very helpful. Bostock there at 314.5k, average 38.5, has been priced down, obviously, which is helpful, but he is annoyingly priced for someone who sort of hasn't got that spot locked down. He has some low scores in him, a couple of bad performances, and could hurt your SC scores, but also him in your side as well and losing that spot. So it does seem likely at this point that he takes that wing spot and that he takes a jump in his quality of play. So on the weekend, he looked like he was running the footy a bit more than he was last year, and the opportunities were there. He looks stronger. He looks a little bit fitter than he did this time last year, or when he played, that is. And a youngster, he's obviously naturally going to improve, which we see from all of the younger wingers for sure. But I think that, the improvement's going to be there. He looked improved in the first trial. See how he goes in this one. He's been named again with Tessie New in next to him at centre. So, he's definitely someone that's on my radar. He could be used as a looper or something like that in round 3. and make some cash for you in round 4. Hopefully at 314, it's not too high, but we'll see obviously what other players we get coming into that first and second team list. Tommy Talau, 287 for him. It's a interesting one that we're actually looking at him, but sort of a 28 average for him. He has 2 averages over 40 a few years ago, which is helpful. He's in a better team now. If he does get the spot on the wing or potentially in the centers, he's been training there. In a firing Manly team, I think he's actually a pretty solid option to score tries, get some assists at that, and I think he can make some money on that. He looked very much improved in that first trial, so not the worst player to start with if that's the way you are looking at it there. Tuapiki as well, so he's got the fullback dual, which is cool, but 277.7. Just above that, I've been at Trbojevic there at 277.4, but so the chance to get sort of 3 games there if Charles Nickel Klukstad has that moderate kind of hamstring strain. If he does and it kind of lingers around a bit, then that's what you could get for him. But to me, it is fairly hard to take him like Keanu Keeney, given that they have a very short window and only likely one price rise or even less, depending on how things go. So Tane, unlikely at this point, but could definitely score well in those first few weeks. Ben Trbojevic to 277, as I said, 27 is the average. He's fighting for the Ed spot. If he gets it, he's going to be in our side. There's definitely plenty of injury Schuster risk, but he's going to be a gamble worth taking for sure, having at least 20 points of value if he can play 80 minutes on that edge and have some good games with some tries or try assists and have some sort of lower games in that. And I think he can be a high 40s guy pretty comfortably in those big minute games, that's for sure. So Ben, with Schuster, he kind of just had 4 calf strains now across the last 4 years, so 1 a year, and they have all lasted longer than we thought, and he's been dealing with it for a while now, so not good on that front. Nick Kotrick there, 274. He averaged 27 last year as well. He's too expensive for me, and the spot isn't safe. Like, I'd rather go for a cheaper guy. I'd rather go for Burbo, who's at the same price, obviously there as well, 3.5k down on that. So that's where I'd rather be putting my money. If both of those guys were named, I'd go to Salmon, I'd go to Bostock, I'd go to all these guys just a little bit above, and then I'd go to some guys a little bit lower. And Schiller's one of those. He's obviously almost over 30k cheaper, 36k, 35k there. 22 was the average for him last year, so it wasn't great for him, but could he earn the spot and be a cheapie? He's named in last week's trial, named in this week's trial as well. They're playing cheapie there on the bench, who I actually haven't put in this video, Osamoa, I believe, for the Raiders there. So if he was to be named round 1, we don't really have any NRL data on him, obviously, so it'll just be going off that. But Albert Hopewadi, where does he fit? Where does Seb Chris fit? There's a lot in this Raiders team. It's just so hard to take any of these guys. There's so much risk. And, he was at least good on the weekend, whereas Kotrick was okay. He had that good kick for weeks. That was about it. Cam Bradley, guys, 238.9, average of 19.5 last year. If he's starting on that edge, you buy. I think you sell if he's not in the 17. It's pretty simple. Very much as simple as that. Have to see where Blaw's going to end up. If he's near this 17, if anything changes in this trial on the weekend. But watch him. He looked solid in the first trial. Let's see how he goes in this second one. Ethan Stranger, 238.9. Average of 21. Got the 5/8 duel, obviously, there. Fighting for that round 1 5/8 spot. He was solid in the first trial for sure. Kicked some goals. Definitely a nice price. Fogarty wasn't named again, so is Fogs around in round 1? I suppose we hope so. But it could be both of them in round 1, which would be wild. I suppose the big thing to note in here, guys, is I'm going to talk about in a second with Cal Iro as a guy at 219 or Chevy Stewart at 204. They definitely could be guys that you could slot into your last spot in your CTW. And if you think that they're next up, if an injury pops up, that's where like Cal Iro, either side, left or right, center spot, he's going to be next up, right? You got Lea Taua as well. He could be next up in that center spot. It could be a couple away. Whereas Iro's going to be a little bit cheaper and he's going to be next up. You could have Pompey or Berry ahead of him. There's a couple of guys there, right? So that's what you look at with Iro. Stewart could be next up again, so you could have one of them there to fight for a spot. Obviously, on a week-to-week basis, and if there's an injury, they could come in and make some money, and you obviously get someone in really cheap that you could spend some money elsewhere. It's something to note, obviously, but not the best strategy, not the worst. Let's just say that. Darby, unfortunately, I'm super keen on him as a Cows fan. He had the shoulder subluxation, unfortunately, in the trial, which is not good, but hope for a swift recovery, and he'll be fighting for a spot again very soon. Lea Taua. We got him there. He's one of 3 guys fighting for that centre spot. If he pushes his way in, he's in my side, but at this point, unlikely. You got Fatape. I didn't finish that one there, but he is obviously a young gun that he won their player of the year last year in the New South Wales Cup stuff, or Q Cup, whoever he was with, I can't remember. So yeah, and he looked great in the first trial on the weekend, so he's someone to look at as well. And Alamalo, looking likely to be more of like a mid-season purchase with injuries, a great ball runner. We'll get a chance to see him this weekend, which will be fun. Spoke about Kale. Obviously, if he gets the spot, we're getting him in 100%. You could hold him, as I said, but he's one of those guys, a terrific ball runner at that, which is good. Chevy, I suppose I had in there looking likely for fullback spot, but thankfully, but not an amazing first trial. Probably not looking unlikely at this stage to get it, and we'll play at some point throughout the season, I think, for Chevy. So 204K, yeah, could play like, there's a bit of chatter around him potentially playing like half the season, kind of, looking after his body a little bit, given he's 18, like a few of these guys that we're talking about in the Findus and the Galvins at the moment. So he could be another one on that list that could be in the running for that type of season, in and out, which is why you could just slot him in that spot. Will Price, guys, are 345 now down to the fullbacks. I got Price and Kenny in this one. Super League young gun, Will Price is a few spots sort of behind, I think, unfortunately, especially based off this trial. Team list on the, that was just named yesterday, a couple of days ago as well. But he looked incredible in that first trial, and let's see if he can do that again. That's for sure. That'd be really, really cool. And at 345 is a bit of an awkward one to kick things off. But Keanu Kenny there at 287. Looks like he'll get the spot likely for sort of 2 to 4 rounds. I'm going to put it there because he could come back in round 4. Super talented. Keen to see this trial, obviously, in this second trial, and he has the buy in round 2. So he could make some money, but he's definitely more appealing in fantasy, in my opinion, due to so the positional guns in the fullback position in Supercoach, and prices changing after the 1 round in fantasy. So we'll leave it at that, guys, for the cash cows here in Supercoach for the center wing and the fullback. As I said, jump in the description. There's the link, the league code there for the NRL and cricket analysis community. Super excited to go ahead with this season for the Supercoach world. Obviously, you're going to be doing a little bit on overall, but mainly some head-to-head stuff to be a bit different to all the other content creators in the space. But a big thank you guys for watching this one, and we'll see you in our big Supercoach videos, which will be after TLT, when I have the sort of must-haves value cashies and also the guns there. See you guys.